Toot, toot, toot. Mic check, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to We Studio Records in We Studio. Hope you're enjoying some of the music. This is a collection of stuff that I have worked on, whether it's recorded, mix it, edit it, master it, played on it. Just a collection of stuff that I thought would be good to play in the background while chatting. How's the sound? Can everybody let me know if you can hear everything okay? Good morning, Robin. What's your crack the day? Okay, let's make sure everything's working okay here. Everyone see everything okay? Okay, so I'll have to double check. Oh, look at that. A follow. Darren Brun. Thank you very much, Darren Brun. So, we're going to do some fun stuff today. We're going to hit it straight off with the big boys. We are going to delve into... Put this down a bit. We're going to delve into... some mixes that I haven't looked at for a few years, so goodness knows what plugins I was using. We're going to look at some old Peat and Diesel stuff. I think we'll start with one or two tracks from the first album when we had no idea it was going to be huge. We had no idea anyone was going to like it. We were just recording it just for fun, really. I've known Boydie and Innes and Uli for many, many years, and Boydie used to come to a lot of pub gigs that I did, mostly with my friend Jane, and he used to hang out with us before and after, and very regularly was the after show entertainment. Not that we'd be there, we'd kind of duck out early, but if you were ever at an after show party in Stornoway after the pubs closed, chances are they'd be Boydie playing a guitar with 4 or 5 strings in the corner. Absolutely thrashing the pants off it. So that's kind of how he got to where he got to. I think after that, just before the band got together, Boydie came to not many people know this, Boydie came to a night class for audio recording and mixing, because he'd been recording on his laptop or his phone, and he'd been sending them to me at probably 3 or 4 in the morning, demanding I listen to it and let him know what I think. So I did this night class in the local college and pulled some people down, and Boydie was one of them, and he was exceptional. He was very creative, obviously, but he's also a dab hand with recording. He understands it all. He's a good lad. So just after that, he started putting some tracks online. They got a really good reception, and I was down at the EDF festival, their first big gig really, and they absolutely blew the roof off the place with little to no experience. It was something else. And after that, I had the pleasure of interviewing them for the little documentary, the little film I was doing, and we had such a laugh. So as soon as that happened, I grabbed the boys, pulled them in the studio. I said, let's do some sort of deal, because they had little to no money to pay for any recording, and I got them recording really quickly. And this is what we're going to look at today, is what on earth we recorded, what editing was done, what plugins were used, what design, how we recorded it, in what rooms and how. There's lots of decisions to be made when you get a new band in. And it's very different when it's your friends, especially with Innes in the band, especially with Innes Scott on the accordion, because we've known each other since we were really wee. I probably wouldn't be a musician without Innes. He dragged me into my first band, Face the West, when we started that, when I was about 14 or 15, and he would have been about 17 or 18 at the time. And he was one of my only friends with a car, so we could get the gear around to start practicing. And we had a lot of good times, a lot of good a lot of good tuning, a lot of good experiences. At that age, it was magical. Even going down to magical places really far away like Barra, it was just something else, and something I hope my children have a chance to do. I think it really shaped who I am. It definitely inspired what I do, and I love what I do. So I'm more than grateful for that. So it was really nice to work with my old friend Innes again. He'd been involved with a couple of other projects, but they never got to the recording stage. So it's really good to have him in, and it's a real honor to be spending time with him again, and with Boydie and Uli as well. Uli's on Twitch, by the way. If you ever want to follow him, he's a dab hand at the old Call of Duty. I'm just going to get his. I think it's Uli Mac. You can search for him. But he plays Call of Duty most nights with probably 1 viewer, 2 viewers. He's very humble. You should hop on there and help him out with the old Call of Duty whenever you can. So let's look at this. Oh, look at that. Peat Diesel are playing in the background. That's really handy. Let's go from that to this. So let's have a look at my screen. So this isn't a tutorial, by the way. This isn't sit down and get your pens and paper out. This isn't... I will, of course, answer any questions anyone has. Good morning, McBoydie. Yes. Now, can anyone see the poster on the wall? That's the way we do it tour. Very, very proud of that poster, and I have to thank Beyond Promotions, who first of all put the gig on, but also sent us these lovely posters and got the frames ready and everything, which is really handy, because if they hadn't put the frames on, chances are none of us would have got around to doing it. And it's hanging up there, very proud. Above there is I don't know if you can see it. There's a plaque that says "Parking for Wee Studio Customers Only," which I was meant to put on the wall outside, but I haven't got around to it, so I just put it there instead. It kind of makes sense. That's Peat and Diesel are a Wee Studio customer, I suppose. So they're up on the wall. Super cool. So as I said, this is not a tutorial. This is a laugh. This is if you came down and sat at the studio behind me, and we had nothing to do and we were just messing around. That's the idea for this channel. That's what we're doing. So we'll do a wee bit of this, a wee bit of that, a wee bit of watching videos maybe that someone else has done. If anyone in the chat or who's following has made any music or has made a video, please send it our way. We'll have a watch. Like one of the biggest driving forces for me is teamwork, is helping each other out, making this community a better place to live. Not just the island as a physical community, but musical community, culture community. I think if we all help each other, it'll be much better crack. So please send it on. We'll have a watch. If you have any music, we'll have a listen. And it's all good vibes here. Do not worry. Even if it's the worst thing in the world, I'll find good things about it that I like. And that's what we focus on. Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement's the way. That's how people get better. That's how they grow. And all my favorite musicians can't play very well, and all my favorite singers can't sing very well in a technical sense. So as long as you care about it, I care about it too. So please let me know what you're up to, if you're musicians or anything. So this is it. This is Pro Tools. This is what I work in. There are many other DAWs, but they all pretty much do the same thing. Some of them in a different way, with buttons in different places. The reason I use Pro Tools is it's kind of industry standard. Lots of studios use it, and I work with lots of other studios, so it's really handy just to have a knowledge of it to pull up a project that they've half made. It makes it a lot easier than exporting stems and pulling it around. On top of that, I also do a lot of TV production. So voiceovers, mixing, editing for TV, like documentaries, short stories, things like that. And that's all, that world is completely Pro Tools as well. So I kind of made a conscious choice to jump onto this, get really quick at it, because it was what I was going to be on most of the time. But if you're ever choosing what to use, just use whatever you want. Use what your pals are using. That's probably my advice. If you're on a Mac, I hear Logic's very good. Okay. Slancha Sounds. Good morning. Thank you for following. That's my friend Callum skiving to watch me. I'm delighted. Morning, Callum. Callum plays bass in Heron Valley with me. He's an absolute legend. One of my best friends. So I'm glad he's here. So where was I? This might be common where I'm on a path chatting about stuff and then moving on. Oh yeah, DAWs. Those. A lot of people like lots. Reaper's really popular just now. Studio One I hear is really good, but I've never tried it. Ableton Live's really good. Ableton Live's really good about what do you call it? Like using blocks to build stuff up. What are you saying, Callum? I am working with you in the background. Lovely. Callum's also a big fat liar. Callum is in his pajamas. He never works hard. Probably eating some sort of meat-based product like a hamburger. I am Sean Harrison. Good morning, Sean. You love the hair. Thank you very much. If you stick around, I might take the headphones off and give you the full beans. I have been doing the lockdown haircut thing. Actually, I might show you. So I had commitment, right? At the beginning of this, me and all my pals decided that we were going to grow our hair out or shave if you're going bald. And this is how mine ended up. Look at this absolute mess. Look at this. Have you ever seen the like of this? My wife hasn't spoken to me in months. She's absolutely disgusted, I think. But that's my hair. It's mighty annoying. But I'm learning to live with it. And I think my dad had hair like this in the 70s. So yeah, respect. Sticking with it. I think I have to sort it out though, because it seems shorter at the front and it's longer at the back, just because obviously my hair starts here, which is that much far away from the hair that started here, and they all started pretty much at the same length. So my sister's a hairdresser, so maybe I'll let her loose with it later on. But yeah, you know, sticking with the vibes just now, sticking with the lockdown vibes. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go back to Peat Diesel. You haven't even heard a thing yet. So this is it. This is my project. This is a slightly messy one. Reasons for that being, we recorded it very quickly, so there wasn't much time to keep it neat. Also, when I recorded this, Pro Tools didn't have a way to put stuff into folders. It does now, and it's brilliant to keep stuff neat and tidy. But before it didn't. Now looking back at this, we recorded this so simply. We there's hardly any microphones. I think I made a conscious decision at the very beginning. Robin, what are you saying? Looking good. I've been doing the same since October. I'd love to see your length, Robin. Please send it in. Let's compare. I have a friend, Sam, who films with me sometimes, and his hair is just gorgeous. His hair is like down to here. It goes in a massive bun and everything. He is like killing it. He's got a Twitch channel too. Maybe I should find that one. So yeah, this was recorded really simply. Content over perfection, I think, is the Peat and Diesel way. I think you will agree. And this turned out so well that when we started the second album, we all had a chat, and the chat was, let's make sure it sounds the same. Like, don't improve anything. That's number one. Don't make it sound too good. Don't improve anything, but don't make it sound worse. Make it sound as raw and exactly the same. So when I started the second album, I actually took the template of the first album and pulled it in, and we started recording on top of that. Of course, we tweaked things a wee bit because it might have been different microphones, or it might have been a different microphone in a different place, different guitar strings. Boyd, he sung completely differently, way more confidently in the second one, things like that. So, but let's go through. Let's just have a listen to it as is. So this is before it got mastered. So you can see here, this is a master channel, and I've just got an L2 limiter here, but that wasn't for limiting. That was only to export it without it clipping at any points, just a safety thing to, and then pulled it into mastering. So first of all, this will sound completely different to what you're used to. Let me know if you can hear it okay. Morning, Ian Wilson.
Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. I said the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Isles.
Here comes the lead. Cool, huh? Cool. This brings back a lot of memories, especially sounding like this. It sounds totally different once you put it through some mastering. So let's first of all have a listen to just the drums. So I do have groupings and stuff down here, but I can't be bothered making sure that they're going to pull the right things. So this is my friend Uli. Uli knocked it out of the park, and he has done consistently since he's walked into this place. I had the pleasure of mixing Uli live when he first started playing the drums, and he's come such a long way. I'm so proud of him. When he came in here, he finishes his stuff like 1 or 2 takes, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm done. That's good." And that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to be that solid. None of this was recorded to click track, which is a much better way of recording something if you want a raw sound. But if you don't have an experienced drummer or someone who's used to recording, it can fluctuate a lot, which might add to the sound. Sometimes you just got to listen and check it out. But as soon as he came in and we started recording, I was like, he's going to be fine. One of the most solid drummers I've had in here, actually. If you think back to bands like AC/DC, solid drumming is beautiful. It's beneficial to the entire thing. So let's have a listen to that. Let's see how he's doing. And he had a snare I really loved. I really loved the snare. I'm so particular about snare sounds. Had that little doo, 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 doo. So this is it mixed. This is it with all the plugins you can see up here. Under these pink things. And so let's listen. If I click this, we'll listen to it with reverb. It's like kind of a gym hall. So obvious when you hear it soloed like this, but normally it blends in really well. I think one thing I can do is, if I'm clever, I can bypass everything. That's not it. Here we go. Here we go. So this is it with all the plugins bypassed. So this is pretty much what you're going to hear raw. So it's exactly straight from the microphone straight into here. I didn't use any outboard when I was recording it. As I said, we had to work quickly to get the content out. I didn't want them to get bored. I wanted them to keep their energy, be excited. So no hanging around. Choose a microphone, get recording, sit down and go. And how we recorded it was, let me put you full. So behind me here is a sofa. It's kind of in the dark just now. And then behind me on the other side, I've got a new mixing desk, a Midas, which I'm using for outboard and pre's and EQs, which I just wired in yesterday. But in there was Innes, and on that couch was Boydie, And in the room next door was Uli recording his drums. And how we did it was we just focused on the drums first. So we were just recording the drums. The boys were just playing along to keep him right. And then afterwards, we'd have Innes in another room I've got back there with the piano. And he put his parts on. I think he put his parts on last because he wanted to make new parts to make sure his lead stuff was catchy. And Boydie recorded his vocals and guitar kind of all over the place. It was just me and him. It's probably my favorite time of recording is when it's just the two of us. He's just fighting out ideas, and it's kind of magical. So let's go back to live screen. So let's have a listen to it all without any plugins. Now, the danger here is that it sounds 10 times better, and I've made it worse. Hopefully not.
Oh, the duck is on the window, the cat is on the floor, everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night till their feet
What do you think? Is it better or worse?
in the morning and their head is in a mess. I said the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor.
It sounds really cute. It sounds really nice.
They're up all night till their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. And that's the way we do it, the way we do it in the Western Eye.
So this is fun. Let's listen to the drums now with no effects. And they won't have like a tenth of the energy. And that's what it sounds like coming in. What I'm really keen on is listening to Boydie's vocals. Totally dry, no effects.
Oh, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess.
What a dude. What an absolute legend. So let's put him back on. Oh, let's listen to the guitars. So the guitars we did left and right. And I have a confession to make straight away. When Boydie plays live, he plays an Ibanez. In fact, he's got two. And the reason he plays the Ibanez is it's got a really vicious whammy bar. And it just suits his brain, I think, where he'll finish a chord and go, yo, whoa. And it's something to behold. However, we rarely used it in recording. Also, he uses a Marshall combo live or a Marshall stack if there's one provided. The reason we use a combo is so we can fit it in a boot and it's easy to get onto the ferry. He uses that live, and it's really good live because it's more vicious, and he knows what all the knobs do. So when it's sitting beside him, it's really easy for him to tweak the way he wants to tweak it. Some other amps he's not as familiar with. However, what we recorded with was, you can see down here, is a Gibson AC30, a Gibson. There was a Gibson The Paul, one he has with a bolt stuck onto the headstock to keep it together because it had snapped at one point, or it's bending. It's scratched and it's dented and it's got kind of a wood colour, but it's got loads of dust everywhere. It's something you'd find in the back of your shed. It's the most Boydie thing I've ever seen. In fact, I actually sold it to him secondhand. Someone was selling it through my studio, and we put it through a Vox AC30 that I bought off my friend Callum Buchanan, who is in a band called the Cialis, who are also amazing. Please check them out. And that's what we have. So we just recorded it with, what kind of microphone? Okay, so we actually recorded it with one of the new Slate digital microphones. They're wee ones, ML2. And the reason we did that was we can choose the microphone afterwards. So you see this plug-in here? You can choose loads of different mics to make it sound different. And if you remember before, I said I wanted to record it really quickly. I didn't want to be hanging around changing microphones. This gives me the option. This gives me the advantage of being able to change the microphone in the mixing stage, rather than Boydie having to wait around for me to change the microphone while I wanted to record. Thank you, McBoydie. Thank you very much. So, you can see here it shows a SM57 shock horror. It's really common. And in here is the same. So, 2 guitars. Here's the left one. And here's the right one. So these are 2 guitars played one at a time, played along with the drums. And it gives the impression, if you're tight, it gives the impression there's one guitar, but it's really wide and it's really thick. Pretty cool, huh? Here's Boydie's voice with some of the effects and EQs and stuff.
Oh, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess.
There is so much on it. It's so busy. But when it's all mixed together, it's gelling it, or it's giving it space. When you listen to it soloed like that, it's completely overwhelming. All the EQs, the effects. Like I've even got like tape emulation here. Everything's really overwhelming when you solo it, but when it's together, it blends and it works. That's why a lot of pro engineers or mixers say, try and not solo stuff when you mix it. Now I'm of 2 minds of that. If I hear a problem, I really like to solo it. But if I'm trying to mix it together, I very rarely solo it. Excuse me, this water's making me burp. So if I'd heard that, I would never have put that much effects on it. But together it works.
Oh, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess.
It's not distracting at all. It just makes it feel like you're at a gig. And there's a wee bit of delay on it. And I'm really sensitive to delay. In fact, I actually hate hearing delay.
Oh, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor.
Hear that noise? It actually makes my ears pick up and go, ah! The only time I really like hearing delay is if it's another instrument. If you think of like Radiohead, the Bends, or OK Computer or something like that, where they take the delay, and you can tell it's going through a proper tape and they're manipulating it and it's screaming and it's turning into like a feedback kind of. That is beautiful. That is beautiful, and I should do more of that. I really, really, really appreciate that. What I don't like is when it's a common thing and you can hear it throughout. I find it really distracting. So I'm really conscious of when I'm mixing it. I want it there because it puts Boydie in a space. It might be hidden of walls around him in the image of your head of if Boydie's on a stage. But if I was hearing it, it would sound like a plugin. So the blending that is very difficult. And there's a lot of times where the music might drop down, and the first thing I'll do is I'll hop onto this delay bus here, and I'll just pull the volume down for that quiet part and pull it back up, because I don't want the music to go and then hearing the voice go, unless you're doing it as an effect, which is something totally different. But I find it distracting. But everyone's different. Everything's subjective. Music is art. So that's Boydie. Let's hear Boydie all by himself. Imagine if Boydie didn't have the band. So I'm going to put the kick on because Boydie would have a kick.
Oh, the dog is on the window, the cat is on the floor. Everyone is having a party on the moor. They're up all night until their feet get wet. Wake up in the morning and their head is in a mess. I said the dog is on the window, the cat is on the...
Not awful. It's not terrible. Might get a bit boring once we get to the accordion solo part and nothing happens. Oh, guitar solos. I can't wait to get to a guitar solo. So Boydie is a much better guitarist than anybody knows. Much better. Much, 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 much better. He is on par with the best of the best guitarists, and he doesn't even know what he's doing. his hands are just talking. They're just doing what they do. But I've never had a guitarist in where it's so natural to him. It's like talking. I think if you put music in front of him, or if you try to make him play out of his comfort zone, it's not happening. But for someone that's always looking for the heart in the music or the soul in it, the soul of his playing is connected to his guitar playing in a stronger way than anyone I've recorded, anyone I've played music with. And I think that's a lot of the soul in this. It's a lot of the color. And it sometimes gets lost in the noise. Sometimes it gets lost in the fun of it or the band. But if Boydie wasn't there playing the guitar, there would be no band. It's such a large, unappreciated part of it. But his lead stuff is insane too. So I think when the second album rolled around, all three of us, me, Innes and Uli, we were all pushing for more guitar solos, go out of his comfort zone. To grow in confidence. So I'm proud of him. He did really well. And there's been videos flying around the internet from people's phones in large venues, and he's just ripping the life out of it. And more often than not, I'm doing live sound. I'm on the desk, and to have control of that fader. I mean, we made a conscious decision when he started playing a lot more solos, was to just go overboard with the volume on that microphone. I mean, I've got it just before feedback every time. In fact, that's one of the first things I do is get that microphone up as high as it'll go until it starts feeding back. And then I make a conscious mark in my brain. Okay, you can't go more than +6. And then as soon as the solo's coming, my finger's sitting on +6 in the fader, and I go, and up it goes, to get the maximum out of it. So now we're going to listen to Innes. Innes Scott is a big part of this band. He is doing the accordion chords. He is doing the accordion lead stuff. And he is also doing the whole keyboard section and the bass guitar. So he is doing 1, 2, 4 things. But he only gets paid once. If he gets paid. We're also doing a few other things like driving and waking people up in the morning for the ferry and lots of things like that. So here is Innes's 3 parts together. Let's go to nearer lead so you can hear the crack there. Cool. So with Innes, normally with lead stuff, you don't do this. Normally with traditional instruments, you don't do this. But I think outside the box and do other stuff. I recorded Innes with a stereo condenser pair for both parts. It makes more sense with the chords because he's doing left hand and right hand. But for the lead, he's only doing right hand. But I still did it. It's something I like to do. I probably do it too much, but it sounds good, so it is good, right? I think it happens a lot in Nashville, bluegrass stuff. They do a lot more stereo recordings. I think I used Aston Starlights. They're fancy little microphones that come with lasers, which is really handy because you can turn the lasers on and kill the people in the studio if they're not doing very good. No, it's not that kind of laser. The laser's a gimmick just to make sure you're pointing at the right place. But I've never used it. I think I turned the laser on once. I went, oh, that's nice. and then I don't use it anymore. But you'll know the mic because it's with the laser. What's good about that mic is it's got little switches on it. So you can have it on vintage, you can have it on modern, or you can have it on a mix of the two. One of them is a white circle, one of them is a black circle, and one of them is a half white, half black circle. I don't know which is the vintage, and I don't know which is the modern. And I'm not going to look it up because I really like not knowing, and I'm just switching it and going, that one's better. So I don't want any preconceptions. I'm obviously going to choose the vintage one every time if I know which one the vintage one is, but I'm just not I'm not even going to look. I didn't even look at the characteristics of which one is brighter or anything, because then I'll know. So I'm just going, that's the one, that's the better one. So this is it with just the lead. Don't forget to say hello in chat. Don't forget to say hello. Let me know what you're up to. Did everybody have breakfast? I had waffles. So let's look at the plugins on this. So I use a lot of Slate Digital stuff. I've got a a subscription, and it really works well for me. So this one is a emulation of Desk. This one is an EQ that I'm not using very, very much. I've got a wee bit of the low end killed, and I'm boosting a wee bit of the kind of high bass low mids just for that one. With this one, I'm just doing a tiny bit. I do a little bit a lot of times, if that makes sense, and I kind of notice the difference there. I've got my keys preset that I made or tweaked, and this is a distressor compressor. So this is just kind of bringing the volume down. If he does any high ones or anything, it kind of keeps it level. If you want really aggressive, powerful music like this punk trad that we're doing, that you want to kind of compress. And then this one just to give it a bit bite. Oh, who do we have? McLean 868. I wonder if that's Ali McLean. Say hello, Mr. McLean. So we got that giving it some shimmer and some bass. And here's a big decision. Here is, so this is hello. Another company I really like is Sound Toys. So I kind of have 3 companies I use a lot. One of them is, 4. One of them is Fab Filter. I use them a lot to correct or to do very technical fixes or changes. I use Slate to emulate old school stuff. It's a nice workflow. I use Sound Toys to mess stuff up, to make stuff sound creatively worse or creatively different, just the distortions and delays and things like that. And I use waves. I use quite a lot of waves too from my old days. I kind of went off waves a lot, but I'm kind of going back onto it now again. Things like the SSL channel, the 1176 plugin, things like that. So this is distorting and this is box, this one. So I bypass it and then put it back on. I just needed it to cut through a wee bit more like an electric guitar. I've got this, I use this a lot. This is a tape emulator. So imagine if you're working and you send it out to a tape machine like this and then you bring it back in. That's kind of what it's doing. And then I've got an EQ at the end. Now this is drastic. This is drastic EQing. I've taken out all of the bottom, and I've taken out loads of the end, and I've taken out frequencies where the notes were a bit louder than other notes to make it smooth. And that's it. Off it goes. So let's hear it coming in. So that's what it sounded like. So you can hear some notes are kind of piercing and some are a bit too bland. And there's loads of like high end like noises that I got rid of with that EQ. And there was loads of like noises with his hand. Kind of standard stuff. Let's make this active again. Again, that sound soloed, that sounds way too MIDI, like too much noise in the mid, not enough high end. And but in the mix, it cuts through. It's nice. It's not fighting with anything. All right, Ali, how's that going, my friend? Sean, do you have a general panning preference for certain instruments? I hate this answer, but it depends on the song. I like going wide. I like being wide. I like stereo. I like stereo a lot. There was a few years there where everyone was listening to stuff on an iPhone or Android speaker, and it was a mono speaker just at the bottom, just like here. And that was dangerous because that meant if you had stuff left, if you pan stuff left and right and got it really wide, when it came back to the middle, you'd lose everything. You'd lose all the magic. In fact, it would actually cut a lot of frequencies and it would turn out really thin. So it was really hard, them kind of years. However, in the last few years, you now get stereo, well, a kind of stereo thing from your phone speakers. You've got to think about your end client. You can't imagine everyone's going to have a super duper hi-fi or really good headphones when they're listening to stuff. So you've got to keep that in your mind. But now, yeah, phones are kind of stereo. Like noise comes. Who do we have? Andy C41 for following. Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. Say hello in the chat. So yeah, we've got the stereo image is one of my favorite things. I remember when I first started messing around with recording and I was trying to get a good sound out of the acoustic and I only had one mic, and when I got a second mic and put it in a different place, I was like, I have arrived. The amount of times I listened to records when it was just an acoustic and I was like, how did they get that sound? Leiden! What is up, Leiden? Leiden was recording here a few months ago before lockdown 3.0 or whatever it is. And he's got some unreal music to release soon. I've heard it. You haven't. Sucks to be you. An amazing box player. Wait till you hear some of his stuff. Say hi in the chat. Leiden boy. So we've got, So how do I pan stuff? If I've got like, and one thing I think about, Sean, is what do I want to be the widest? So if you've got a drum kit, electric guitars, acoustic guitar, piano, keys, all that stuff, you can't put them all completely all the way wide all the time because you'll have loads of stuff in the middle, like your bass and everything. The vocals. You'll have loads of stuff panned completely on each speaker, but you've got this absolute wide hole kind of in between the two. So you've got to sacrifice things, and that's really an aesthetic decision. That's a creative thing. I always go with the drums to be fully wide, unless it's some kind of gentle folk thing or gentle thing. If you see down here, I've got Boydie's guitar at kind of like 47 and 55 here. So they're not fully wide, but I've got the box MIDI here. So that's like the keyboard sounds. I've got them fully wide. So that was a conscious decision to not have them clashing. Normally I would put the guitars fully wide. So I make a decision based on where there's space. If it's a much more live sound, I mean, we just released Peat Diesel's live album. The consideration for that was completely different. First of all, your drums are the other way around. I always mix the drums imagining I'm playing the drums. Maybe it's a musician thing. If it's the wrong way around, I'm out of the game. But when it's made for a live thing where you can see it on the screen because it went out as a program. Thank you, Alistair McLean. Thank you for following. It went out as a program, so you can't have them going down. Tom's going doodle-doodle-doo, but the audio's going doodle-doodle-doo to the wrong speaker. That's something you've got to consider too. So then you flip the drums first of all, and then mostly if you've got a wide band with lots of members, you mix them based on their position. Where are they on stage? Because it'd be really weird having a saxophone solo or saxophone riff over there, but the saxophone player's over in the other end, for example. You know, you've got to keep that in mind. Couldn't do that with the boys because there's only 3 of them. So it'd be really weird. You'd have your vocals and guitar on one side and you'd have your accordion on the other. So for the live stuff, I mixed it kind of the same as this. So yeah, it depends on the type of music for panning. Panning's so powerful though. Panning is the second most powerful thing after volume. So you've got the volume control, which is the main thing. Then you've got the panning, which is the second most powerful thing. And then I'd say EQ for taken at different frequencies. So you can do 80% of your mixing with volume and panning and make a really decent mix. That's how a lot of live stuff's done at festivals. Just keep it simple. Just do that and get through it. Don't do anything too crazy. I think that's changed a lot with digital discs, but yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, panning is such a big thing. Normally people just ram the panning where they go like fully wide or in the middle. Don't do that. Play about with it. I mean, and then there's a psychoacoustic thing where sometimes I'll listen to it and then I'll pan everything the opposite way and I'll go, oh, that's way better. And I won't know why. I might have the keyboard solo over here and the guitar solo over here, and I'll swap the two and it'll sound so much fresher to my ears. Maybe it's because I hear it different and it makes no difference. But sometimes it's the way it is. So here it is. This is Peat Diesel. This is the overheads. Oh, I actually used the Slate Digital mics for the snare as well. The snare top and snare bottom. I used ribbon microphones. So there's cheap ribbon microphones that I adore from Thomann, the RB500s. They only cost about 80 quid or something. I've got 4 of them. I use them all the time. I've had much more expensive ribbons, but I fell in love with these ones. They're perfectly rubbish. They're perfectly not good. So it's the closest to a ribbon sound that I get. Sometimes I've had more expensive ribbons and I'm like, no, it sounds too good. I wanted to sound not as good. And these ones where they don't sound flat and muffled, but they don't sound clear enough that it could nearly be a condenser or a dynamic. And I think it just fits in the range. And for 80 quid, I'm just like, throw these things and everything. I use them on guitar amps. I use them on fiddles. I use them on overheads. I love them. I love them. My secret weapon. Morning, Leiden. Hey, Mr. Wolf. Hello, Jack. How are you? Jack Wolf is the next me. Jack lives here on the island and he is at home and he is producing at home and he is a fantastic pianist. And if you can check out any of his stuff. Jack, is your stuff on YouTube yet? But me and Jack we're chatting. I'm going to be helping him throughout his musical journey, if he wants it. I mean, he might be beyond me already, but he does amazing things. He's very technical. He's very clever. He's already helping venues sort out their streaming setup. It's he's inspiring me fellow. I love seeing stuff like that. That's gives me hope for the creative future, the creative scene here. There's lots of really good traditional musicians coming up, young ones, getting taught by amazing people. So yeah, that's a nice thing to see. Sweet streaming setup, pal. Content is no bad either. Thank you very much. So maybe I should walk you around my wee setup. I've got a selfie ring light here. The reason I have that is so that it kind of goes around my face rather than giving me a hot spot on my forehead. My son Sam, wee 9-year-old Sam, he's an absolute just legend. He's an absolute legend. I'm sure every father thinks that of their son, but he's the nicest, sweetest kid in the world. Super keen, super happy. He helped me set this up. He was keen in showing me. So let me go full. So you can see here, he made me turn my lights off. He was like, the lights have to go off. They have to. And I was like, but what if it's during the day? And he was like, the lights have to go off because that desk has nice lights on it. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I've got my 2 Neve style preamps here and I've got my 1176 compressor here. I use that a lot. I've got another preamp that's away getting repaired. It had some sort of like 50 hertz hum on it because when I turned on the phantom power, it would go, I can't do 50 hertz, but it needed recapped, so that's a way of getting repaired. And then I've got like my volume control and stuff up here. I've got that desk. I'm not using the preamps on that desk anymore. I'm using the preamps of that desk and the EQs of that, and then it's going into here This is my trusty X32, and that's doing it's just kind of like a big interface at the moment. But what I like about it is it connects to little personal monitor mixes. So people in the other rooms can just tweak their own monitor mixes. You know, it saves a lot of time, gives people a lot of confidence, I think, when they're recording, to be able to do that. I've got two sets of monitors. I've got PMCs and I've got Dynaudios. These aren't studio monitors. These are, I think they call them bookcase speakers. They're like really expensive hi-fi speakers. So they sound totally different. It's good to put one to the other to refresh the ears. And I've got amps and computers and stuff. But this blue thing here is what's it called? A light strip, just that £20 light strip we got from Amazon, and I just fired it around, plugged it in. It comes with this like cheap remote control, but you can do it on. How's the focusing here? You can do it on iPhone and stuff as well. I'm using a Sony A6000 camera. It's just a little Sony. The reason I've got that there is it's got a really good autofocusing. So I don't care where I am. It's got auto ISO, so it fixes my lighting for me, and it's got auto white balance. So no matter what random colors I'm putting in here, it kind of makes me look not sick. So yeah, the focusing's great. I really like it. So it's nice and easy. I could have much more complicated cameras there. I'm using a Blackmagic Design A10 Pro ISO. So it gives me 4 channels of video. I don't have anything in the other 3 channels at the moment. But what that means is I can put some other cameras in other rooms and have bands in here playing. They can do like a live stream session. Or I can take this out and we can do it anywhere. Or I can Twitch stream when bands are in playing. Or have interviews with people. It's HDMI in, so I can bring my Nintendo Switch in and I can put that in, and that can be streamed as well, you know, anything like that. It's really handy. I've got 2 screens. I've got one screen for seeing the chat, things like that, seeing the videos, seeing the folders, and then I've got this other one which you can see here with this bad boy. So I think we've been in this one for long enough. I'm going to close this session. Don't save because I was messing about. I think we should. Oh, any choices? Does anyone want to hear anything? Any songs they want me to delve into that's been recorded here? I think what might be cool is if we hop into the live album. The only problem is that the live album was worked on in a different sample rate. So I need to switch the desk. So it might go pop. So, you know, avert your ears. Doodle-doo. Okay, that's a good sign. There we go. So I need to close Pro Tools and open up again. If anyone's recording at home and they want advice on anything, like how to run something, what camera to buy, what microphone to buy, interface, what is the sample rate, please get in touch. I'd love to help. If anyone's got any problems, I might even just pass you on to my mate, Jack Wolf, who is a wee genius too, who's learning a lot very quickly. So let's open. So let's go to the hard drive, Peat Diesel. They are the most fun to work with, by the way. And in fact, tuning with him is like heaven. Unless you hate having sore cheeks, because you laugh all day long and all night long. You're just laughing. Even if things go terrible. In fact, if things are going terrible, you're laughing even harder. It is. It's such an honor to be doing that with him. So let's see. Let's try 2020. I think that's when it was done. Barrellands. Here we go. Okay, I'll open it up. What are you saying, Johnny boy? You can fix my interface headache with Cubase 5. What's your problem with your interface? And Cubase 5, Sean Harrison, what's your interface? What's your computer? How's your drivers? Me in the chat will hook you up. Jack Wolf will hook you up. Aren't you meant to be in school, Jack? Didn't school start today? Oh, I think secondary kids are kind of going in bits. Well, not in bits. They're whole. They're full children, unseparated limbs or anything. Full children going in, kind of like in bits, if that makes sense. Focusrite Solo iMac works fine with GarageBand, but not with Cubase. All drivers up to date. I didn't know you could get Cubase on a Mac. Now you know. Well, shows how much I know. Shows how much I know. Any advice there, Jack Wolf, if you're still there? Okay, I opened up the wrong thing. Close session. One thing about like finished things is it takes a wee while for them to open. There we go. There we go. I got it. I found it. One thing I'm really conscious about is... Oh, look it is. Thank you for the follow, Rhoda Morrison. You weren't here when I was talking about my hair, I hope. She is talking to me. I was only kidding. I'm sure she loves my hair. I'm sure. She's stuck with me. Right. Here it is. Switch. Wrong one. Switch again. Okay, here we go. So this, I mixed this differently because it's a live album and I mixed it all together. So this, what you're seeing here is the entire gig from beginning to end. And I tweaked, like if I go here and look at volume, I just tweaked the volume throughout the whole gig. So accordion solos come up, and loud accordion chords come down, vocals come up, audience mics here. So this is actually pretty cool. This is pretty cool. This is like hair standing in the back of your neck kind of stuff. One of the best moments of my entire life is standing at the back of the Barrowlands. After the first couple of songs where the mix is solid, you can hear everything clearly. The boys are having a great time. Boydie didn't crack his head open on the floor, falling out of a rubber dinghy, getting carried by 1,000 drunk people. Everything went well. And there's just a moment where I just looked up and I had Innes's father beside me, who was just absolutely gleaming with pride. I had my mate DC behind me, and I just kind of looked back at him and I looked at the crowd and I was like, what on earth is going on? Because that was the first big gig. That was the first really big Peat and Diesel gig. There was lots after in that tour. Like it was a whirlwind couple of months. But that was the first one where I was like, this is huge. And the new album had just come out, and every song from the new album that they played, the audience were singing along. They already had learned all the words. They'd either got it at midnight and just got busy all day, or they'd been following the Peat and Diesel. They'd been following the Peat and Diesel Facebook page and saw the rough iPhone videos that everyone loves of Boydie doing it at home and studied the lyrics. I mean, have you ever heard of that before? Have you ever seen anything like that before? So this is cool because it's captured that. So I'm gonna focus on the last track that they did, the last encore, Country Boy. Let's just listen to it first, and then we're going to like listen to stuff separately. And what will be really exciting to listen to is this audience, the audience microphones down here, just to hear what the audience were up to. I heard. Okay. Hello, wife. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to the toilet while you listen. Listen to that. Listen to them. So much pride. I was so proud. I was so proud. Listen to this, right? I'll solo the audience. Listen to them. Take a bow. Take a bow. Peat and Diesel. Incredible. Unbelievable. Honestly, I've never seen such natural playing. I've never seen such raw feed from an audience to a band sound. It's as transparent as it gets. So let's listen to some solo stuff. This is the electric. It's just so messy and lovely. Listen to how complex it is. Like, as everyone's going absolutely nuts there, and he's still doing a tune in between the chords. That's not easy. It all adds to like a massive texture. Let's see what his singing sounds like.
Any average man, whether they would get off right. My head is in the clouds, and my guts are on the deck. There's 7 hours to go before I lose a sweat, so well I am.
Perfect. Lovely, characteristic SM58 on a big stage kind of sound. Just really suits Boydie. Suits his growly, angry singing voice, and the confidence that he has there is through the roof. Like, he's found himself. He's worked so hard to get like that, singing in his own accent, his own voice. That's really rare, especially around these parts. Something else. Innocence accordion. Chords are cool. MIDI. So that's like a Roland expansion box. Just fills it all out. That's all you need. The drums. And a nice folder, like I said. Pro Tools nice folders. What a sound. That is a good snare sound. I love that live sound. Let's find out where he's doing some toms. Yeah, cool. Cool. And I've done a lot less with the live stuff than I did with the studio stuff, as you do. So let's take the kick, for example. Again, the Slate Digital stuff. So I've tuned it a lot more, just because you can't. It's harder to choose your own microphone. That's kind of correct for the job. So you need to do a bit of repair work because you're choosing a microphone for a PA system rather than for recording. And position, you want it to be nice and tight, kicking out of a PA system rather than getting it perfect for recording. So there's a lot more tuning in frequencies, adding click in the top end, getting rid of mud in the middle, adding more thump at the bottom. I wonder if it'll make a difference if I... So it sounds more flappy. It gets more aggressive. I think aggression was what I was looking for. Aggression and punch. This one is just adding a bit more high end. Let's listen to this. This is with it off. And then on. Just trying to get that to cut through. I'm doing a wee bit of compression, not much. It's 2 dB. Then adding a wee bit there. So I'm not doing too much to it actually. And then, I needed way more click. So, oh yeah, what a difference that made. Look at that 9 dB push. Don't be afraid to go nuts with plugins. I mean, it held me back for years being gentle. Held me back for years. And then kind of what I knew, what sounded good and what didn't, you go further, and it gains way more character when you're brave. So yeah, be brave, make mistakes. Be brave and make mistakes. So there's not much I did there. So I can pull these plugins out and then I'll put them back in. That's them out. That's them in. What a difference. Ticks. So it'll be similar with the snare. Oh, 2 kicks in and out. So Lots of stuff here. One important thing is the toms. I've gated the toms, which means not very well. What it's meant to do is not let the microphone through until they hit the drum. But because this was the last song, they're going absolutely bananas. So I just left it messy. So cool. Does anyone have any question about this beautiful band and this beautiful adventure and journey we're on? Excuse me, my tummy is rumbling. Tummy is rumbling. Fab. So this is it. This is my life. This is what I do. So mixing this probably took 2 days. And normally with a 2-day mix, especially with so many tracks like this wasn't so bad because you wanted to sound the same at the beginning as at the end. So you're not changing EQs too much. The band weren't changing instruments and myself and Innes had organized the patches for his keyboard sounds and everything before to make them all sound similar. So we didn't need to, I didn't need to edit them live. You know, it makes it easier. I don't need to change the volume or the EQ or anything. Oh, look at Jack. What I did. Sean, hook up with Jack, man. You will love Jack. Sean and Jack need to be together. Make some music, make some productions, my friend. He will make you happy. Good old Jack. I hope you're not skiving school to be on my stream, Mr. Wolf. Worst things you could be doing, no. You know what? I'm really missing having my son here. My son Sam was homeschooling the last few weeks here. Well, studio schooling, I suppose. So he was in one of the recording rooms, and he was sitting at we've got like a wee VO station with a screen and a table with carpet on it, which he was fascinated about. So he was working away on there, and it was just nice. We had the window open so we could chat, but we were in separate rooms. And every now and again, I'd just get a wee, Dada, I'm stuck, and I'd have to go through and remind myself of the 8 times table, things like that. But it was so nice to have him here, and the nicest thing about it was to see him thrive in this environment. So I've got instruments lying around, piano, drums, things like that, and he thought he was getting away with not working by hopping on an instrument and practicing. And he thought he was lucky to be doing that. And I was like, okay, only 5 minutes more, then get back to work. But secretly I'm like, happy days. He wants to practice. I don't have to drag him kicking and screaming. He wants to be doing it. And if he wants to be doing it, it's fun. And if it's fun for him, then he's already won. That's why we do music, right? To enjoy ourselves, or for therapy, or to better ourselves, or to entertain people, make them happy. So to see him doing that was really nice. But not even just that, just have him around, to have someone around. My goodness, lockdown's been long. So that's been nice. So yeah, I think that's why, to be honest, that's why I kind of started this Twitch stream, was to communicate, to connect, to have friends, to have pals, chat to people, walk through things. I'm going to be doing a lot of things like this, going through old projects. Maybe we could go through some old Face the West ones. I have a few people on my label. Ian Wilson was here earlier. He's going to be releasing an album very soon through the label, so we can look at his projects. I've got to finish off a few of his tracks, mixes. We've got 2 singles out, but I've got a few others to do. That includes mixing drums onto it. It did have electronic drums, but we are replacing them with acoustic drums, or blending them with acoustic drums, one or the other. We'll see how it is. So I might bring you on that journey if you fancy it, if you want to come and watch me do some mixing. As well as that, I'm going to have some interviews, so I can video call people and have them on my screen and have a chat with you. People on my record label, people I'm inspired by, people I've worked with in the past, even anyone here, anyone in the chat, someone that's got some music out, someone that plays music and is desperate for a gig and is missing it. Just have a chat, just to see what everyone's up to. On top of that, I also have other passions that I work on quite frequently, as well as music. I do a lot of video editing, which is what I'll be doing this afternoon. I've got some deadlines for 5 p.m. So later on I'll be hopping onto that. But as well as that, I do from an early age a lot of gaming. My first attempt at a career was actually being a kind of a video game / entertainment computer programmer / designer. So I do a lot of projects in the background, working with Unity, VR, funny little games that me and my son design, or I just mess around with. But what I would really love to do is take you on a journey of the past. So I've got this book here. 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. Now, this is a book I've had for a long time. And let me just open a random page. Now, this book is full of amazing old games. The golden years. So what I would really love, and I pretty much own all of them. I've got a games room at home with kind of shelves filled with old consoles and old cartridges, different types of screens and TVs and sound systems, little arcade machines. And I think it's a shame me analysing them for gameplay, absolutely loving them for their music. That's something to delve into. I love video games as an art form because you've got everything. You've got storytelling, you've got art, you've got animation, you've got voiceover, so you've got actors, you've got physical actors, you've got scripting, you've got music, you've got sound design, gameplay, social connections. You've got everything. It's like it's not just video games to me. It's like a marriage of so many art forms. And once you get into the world of making things like that, or making the music, or making the sound design, or filming, or editing, or some graphics, it all makes you look into these things deeper. Like, you might get a £4 Xbox 360 secondhand game to someone as absolute junk to you, but once you think about it, hundreds of people have spent thousands of hours making this thing, this art form. What program do you use for editing? DaVinci? Jack, I use Premiere Pro. I'd love to use DaVinci, but at the moment I share editing duties with one of my best friends, Eleanor Nicholson. And hello, Ian. How are you doing? Thank you very much for following. Please say hello in the chat. So I share editing duties with her. She worked here for 2 years with me, and we kind of learned how to film and edit together while she was here. We got good together. So she does a lot of subcontracting for me. If I'm editing a lot of stuff, I'll fire a lot her way to edit at home. So it's kind of important that we stick to Premiere Pro at the moment. But DaVinci's amazing. If I was to start again, I'd hop straight onto DaVinci. Free editing software that's as powerful as that. You can't go wrong. But Premiere, we've learned it and we're fast at it. So that's what we're using at the moment. But I think video editing programs are very similar to sound editing programs, where they all do the same thing. They've just got different buttons in different places. Some things get you there quicker for some stuff. Some things get you there quicker for others. It's no good being a snob for these kind of things. Water. So, video games. We're going to be doing some video games too. I've got it all set up so I can just switch to it. If anyone's got any favorite old ones that I haven't played, please let me know. Let's hop onto it and we'll explore that together. But not today. Today was music day, but we'll move on to that a different day. Also, I'm making a playlist for my background music, and I'm actually using check this out. I'm actually using Winamp. Old school Winamp is the best music player honestly, it's the best music player there is. I've actually got some Sean Harrison down here. Sean, are you still here? Can I play your music? If he says yes, we'll listen to something. So it's just a massive playlist of stuff I've worked on or been a part of. Had the pleasure to change, to edit here, there and everywhere. So if anyone's got any music and would like to be on my playlist, please let me know and I'll fire it on. Right, let's close session. I'm going to open up one more and we'll pop through it. One more Peat Diesel, since that's what we planned today. Let's open up. I know what we'll open. Let's open the Fairy Tale of New York. Let's get all Christmassy up in here. Oh, I need to change. Hold on. I need to change the sample rate. Please bear with me. Do do do. Ah, okay. Hold on. Let's see if it opens now. If not, we'll open one of the other old ones. Okay, on it comes. Is everybody having a good time? Can everybody see everything clear enough and hear everything clear enough? This is very much a first tester to make sure everything's working okay. Maybe I should have the music down low while I'm playing. There, that's better. Pete back last night. I think this is my favourite song from the first album. When all is said and done and we're sitting here a few years later, I think this is the one that has the most longevity for me. I love that low tone on the accordion. Ennis puts himself down so much. He's a great player. And I think he's proved himself. He's been able to create a catchy riff, man. Try and get that out of your head now. Oh, Callum, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Yes, we see you next time. Have fun working. Sure, we'll chat soon. Oh, there's a wee story. So when we first tracked the first album, it was full of swears. And it was mostly Ennis that spearheaded the change. And we didn't know this was going to be so popular with children. We didn't know it was going to be so popular with anyone, really, but mostly children. And Ennis was really keen to not have any swearing in it. I think that's the closest you're going to get the F out of here. And obviously that was not that at the beginning. But I love that for two reasons. It's much funnier when he doesn't swear. It's much funnier when he says something different. It's so much funnier. It shows how funny and cute he is, I think. And it made it accessible to such a wider audience. I think that in the second album, there's a reference to a flying duck. I think it's the funniest moments when they're in the studio and we're trying to figure out what to do. And I'm screaming, just say duck, just say duck. Duck's fine. It was a good idea. Just say duck. And now we can't imagine it any other way. But it's good. Yeah, swearing's bad. Especially when you have little ones. Swearing's bad. Oh, here's Innes. Here's Innes Scott and the accordion. This is probably the first Face the West track anyone heard. Unreal. That was a Korg N1 keyboard I had, and the sounds on that machine are phenomenal. To this day, some of the best sounds for a Rumpler keyboard. I've still got that keyboard. It's absolutely destroyed from years of touring. There's underneath the keys, there's a rubber pad to keep the key from like hitting metal or to go the right distance. I hit it so hard. I smashed this keyboard to pieces. Hit it so hard for so long that all these rubber strip got just flattened into nothing and disintegrated into the ether. So for the last few months I was using that keyboard, some keys they'd hit metal and then they'd bounce up and go down really quickly. So instead of going ding, it would go ding. And it would sound like I was missing loads of keys and I was rubbish. I was probably rubbish, but not because I was missing keys. So then I couldn't afford to buy that keyboard again and destroy another one. So I ended up buying the rack version with the sounds on it. And I bought MIDI controller keyboards for like £150 each. And I went through so many MIDI keyboards. I was just absolutely just giving it laldy every night, destroying them. So I've still got these two racks. I've got one in my store and I've got one upstairs. Sometimes I bring it down. It's kind of the sound, the sound of the keys in Face the West, the piano sounds, the synth sounds and everything from the early days. In fact, even now I use a Nord Stage 3, but there's a Korg M1 sample on it, and that's what I use on the N1 was the Korg M1 piano. It's kind of like an old 80s piano, one of the most accessible, realistic pianos back in the day, and it did loads of like rave tracks and stuff. So I blend that with a real piano, and that's what gives it the attack, gives it its sound. But this was a I think I was 15 when we recorded this, and I was 16 when it got released. So it was early. Not bad for some young kids. We went down to a studio my friend runs in Ardgour called Watercolor Studio, run by Nick Turner. Inspiring time. Young guys going down. I think we took two cars. One of them was a Mark II Astra. Is that the old one? How it managed that journey, I have no idea. Filled to the gunnels with gear. And we just spent a week making this. We practiced so much. We used to practice in everyone's bedrooms, or there was a Grampian studio here. We we used to sneak into the TV studio and practice there. I'm not sure if I meant to say that. So much practicing, so many small gigs, and we were so influenced by Wolfstone and Martin Bennett and bands like that. We were just keen to play music, and we didn't care whether it would take us or what we would be doing with it. And I think that this early stuff kind of brought me here. So that's nice. Right, let's pause that. And I've got Fairy Tale of New York here. Now, what people don't know about Fairy Tale of New York is, well, Fairy Tale of Stornoway we changed it to, is that we actually recorded it over the original track. So here's the original track here. I can't play too much of that in case I get in trouble. And here's the boys.
Was Christmas Eve, babe.
So this is some kind of like behind the scenes stuff here, where this the idea of this didn't come from the band or me. It actually came from some friends of ours that worked in the road on TV, and this was meant to be a Christmas segment on TV, like a wee advert to play at Christmas time, but it didn't go ahead. Some licensing issues, so they ended up doing a different Christmas advert with him, which is, it's really funny. They're trying to find Boydie, and it turns out that Boydie's living in the castle, and he's living the life of luxury, and this whole Peat Diesel thing's he's just pretending to be that. And they go up and they pick him up in the van. It's a funny wee clip if you can find it on BBC Alpha. But while the idea of that was coming together, we ended up recording this in case they needed to use it, which they didn't. So we ended up just releasing it ourselves and making the video. So for them to plan their video, the decision was made to record the boys playing over the original track and then muting the original track. That way it keeps it perfectly in time with the original video, which meant that they could plan their shots, they could plan their timings and everything with the original video while we were making this. But what's kind of funny is you can actually play both together.
Was Christmas Eve, babe.
It kind of fits all the way.
Dreamed about you. Got on a lucky one.
So you didn't know that. Also, this is me. This is my one and only cameo on Peat Diesel stuff. I just quickly recorded this on the piano to fit with it. I hope you like it. And the plan was for me to be in the video playing the piano, but once we were up in the castle recording it, I made the decision to put Boydie on the piano. It just made so much more sense. It was funnier, and I didn't need to be in it. There we go. Hope you like that.
Dreams come true.
Me and Ennis playing together again.
They've got cars, big as bars,
Mated.
rivers of gold. When the wind goes
Lovely,
right
lovely
through
Mated.
you like it does in Cremor. When you first took my hand on the cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome.
Here, Freddie, Quinn of Stornoway City.
So let's do the same. Let's listen to just drums. They made Mated sit in a box on the back of a lorry and jump out in hailstones. Christmas time. Absolute heroes. So there's the drums. Again, recorded just the same as the two albums. Just took the same settings in and just tweaked them a tiny bit. So here's Ennis's MIDI. What I do with the MIDI, I forgot to mention this before, is this plugin's really good, called Max Bass. And what it does is it takes the really, really low frequencies and adds harmonies to them so that they play in higher frequencies, basically so that you don't need a subwoofer to hear the subwoofer notes. It's a really handy Waves plugin. Sounds weird in its own, but it sounds blended in really nice together.
Here, Freddie, when I start always steady. When the band finished playing, they cried out for more.
So we've got this guitar. This is guitar number 1. Again, that's left and right, and it wasn't enough, so we added a meteor couple guitars too. And this is it together. And if my friend Sean Haddison is still here, you can see the first 2 guitars down here. They're panned kind of like at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then the distorted guitars are panned full to give them separation. And when we're recording all this, perfection is not the key. I always try and put heart and soul above ringing strings, hitting it kind of funny, slightly out of tune, bend, anything like that. That none of that matters. It's all humanity. It's all getting the truth out of them. I think the truth connects. I think really highly produced music has a place, but to a lot of people it's turned into water. It's such a normal thing. You put on the radio and music's just happening. And it, unless it grabs your heart, unless it makes you feel connected or part of it, there's not much point in doing it. That's, I think, with my years of doing this, that's where I found the magic is. And this is full of it, and I think that's why it's doing well.
Alone, I've built my flock around you. And the boys of the SY Village Choir are still singing.
I think Innes will agree, this is the hardest thing we've done yet. The chords are difficult, the timings change, the melodies are kind of hard to play. They're kind of non-regular for trad stuff. It's a very complex piece, especially if you're playing along with the original. Oh, listen to that lead guitar. Where are you, Boydie? Here you are. No one's heard this. No one's heard the end because it fades out. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you how this song actually ends. There you go. I think it's a better ending. We have a question, Laureate123. Are Heron Valley at Gig in the Goyle 2022? The answer is, I don't know. We were meant to be at Gig in the Goyle last year, and we were meant to be at Gig in the Goyle this year. I think there is discussions, and it's open for Heron Valley and Face the West, I think, my other band. But I think we had to hold off in taking any bookings for 2022 to see if we are going to be touring in the United States or not, which is what Heron Valley does quite often. So I think we just had to hold off. We can't commit that far in the future. So the two answers are, I don't know and maybe. So I hope that's good enough. As soon as I know, I will let you all know. I'll be like, hey, I won't hold back, don't worry. If we don't play 2022, I'm sure we'll play the next one or be down that area very, very soon. Cool. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed my first stream, my proper chat. If you are following me in the next few months and this is doing well, you can be in the chat and say I was there on day one. The rest of you are rubbish compared to me, and I will back you all up 100%. But please get in touch and let me know if there's anything else. I mean, working in a studio is really fun. Thank you so much for following. Working in a studio is really fun, and sometimes when you just release stuff like once a month and people don't see the heart and the soul and the fun and the adventure that happens in a little building on Riggs Road in the industrial part of Stornoway, sometimes things are fleeting, and I feel guilty that I am the only one experiencing it all. I mean, the bands come in and they experience their part, but I'll have 3 or 4 adventures a day, and it's not fair me keeping all of that to myself. And I think to build a really nice community of musicians, friends, not even constrained to the island anymore, but to be worldwide, then it's so nice to have you all here. So please, thank you very much for following, and please watch the next one. I'm going to try and do this as often as I can, and I'll be posting it up on my channels, on my socials, letting you know when the next ones are. But I'd better get to some other work now. I've got to do some video editing this afternoon, and at the moment I'm attempting to be home in the evenings to hang out with the family, especially with my two kids, Sam, who's 9, and Rudy, who's 3, going on 13. Especially Sam, because I have to wean him off me. He's so used to my company, and he was pretty upset about going to school instead of being here. So I'm going to try and spend some time with him in the evenings, and little Rudy doesn't get that much time with me compared to Sam. So yeah, that's the situ there. But I'll be on here as much as possible. I think it's kind of nice because my workload is a lot less because of the obvious. So let's do some cool stuff together. All right. I'm going to head now. I love you all, and I will see you next time.